Good morning and welcome to Middle Tennessee State University. This morning we are so pleased to have the Honorable Mayor of the City of Murfreesboro, Shane McFarland, to be our speaker at our commencement. Mayor McFarland is a proud alumnus and was recently elected as mayor of this great city. McFarland was elected to the Murfreesboro City Council in 2006. Additionally, he has served on the Murfreesboro Parks and Recreation Commission, the Old Fort Commission, Old Fort Golf Commission, the Murfreesboro Pension Commission, the Murfreesboro Planning Commission, and the Murfreesboro Historic Zoning Commission. Mayor McFarland is a past member of the Discovery Center Board of Directors, a past chair of Rutherford County Crime Stoppers, a past board member of Special Kids, and a founding member of the Murfreesboro Half Marathon. The owner of Shane McFarland Construction, he's also a Little League baseball coach, a Little League recreational basketball coach, a member of the Blue Raider Athletic Association, and a 1998 graduate of Leadership Rutherford. Please help me to welcome to the podium Mayor, the Honorable Shane McFarland.
Good morning. I was sitting where you are 20 years ago. I came to MTSU in 1992 from a small town about an hour away. And believe it or not, there are twice as many people who are here in Murfreesboro today than in my entire hometown. So you can imagine when I came here, I was a little bit out of my comfort zone. To give you some perspective, in 1992, the population in the city of Murfreesboro was 40,000 residents. Today, there's almost 120,000 residents. The student population at MTSU in 1992 was a little over 10,000 students. Now we have almost 23,000. And probably to make you feel a little even worse, when I came to school here in 1992, my yearly tuition was $1,412. I assume you're paying a lot more than I did. I should go back and tell you that I have a twin brother. We were the first people in our family to graduate from college. My dad was a truck driver, an auto mechanics teacher. He took a job as a teller at a bank when he was 22, and 38 years later worked himself to be president of the bank. My mom was a teacher's assistant, so for all of our education graduates today, both never really gave us an option of whether we were going to go to college or not. It was just understood we were going to college. I don't tell you this to make it sound like it's this success story, but I tell you this because it's what I want to talk to you about today. And the reason I tell you is because I want to put in context on where you are today. I'm a sports buff. I love sports. Anything that has to do with competition, I love it. I find myself sitting in the living room and I'll look and I'm watching a cricket game, a game that I know nothing about, a game that I don't know who the players are, but I just enjoy watching the competitive part. I know my wife, I see her smile and pray for me. She has 3 boys in the house, so it's extremely tough on her too. Watching any sport, there's one universal thing that you see. We know that moment when there's a critical point. When you look back and you realize that was the crucial moment in the game. Coach Davis, Coach Ensel, Coach Stockstill, even my boys' baseball coach, Chris Mobley, who's sitting with you today, they'll tell you about that moment, the moment that's a game changer. Graduates, family members, today is one of your game-changing moments in your life. Today is a moment in your life where you've changed the course and the direction not only of your life, but for those who will follow after you. Today is a day like me when I started in 1992 that will not just affect you, but your family, your children, and your outcome. It will affect the legacy that you leave. There are going to be many bumps and bruises as you move forward from here. You may have already have some of those. But today, you have started and built a foundation that will lead to your success. I want to tell you about a book that I've been reading. It's a book called Seven Men by an author named Eric Metaxas. This book is about 7 leaders, and it goes beyond just the things that we know about these individuals, but it goes a little bit behind their backstory. So sticking to my Twitter promise, I don't have time to go into all 7 men, but I want to pick a few and tell you about what I would say were their game-changing moments that many didn't know were important at the time. We all know of the many stories of George Washington. We know of his leadership in the Revolutionary War. But what he did after the war was really what made him stand as one of the greatest leaders in our country. After the war, there was much unrest. What direction would the country go? Who would lead the country? What would be our outcome? Soldiers were upset because they had fought in this war and they hadn't been paid. The newly established country was in debt and there was much unrest. There was actually a movement for George Washington to be our king, King George I. Washington had led our country in the Revolutionary War, and surely he would be able to lead our country as the king. We've seen the picture of George crossing the Delaware. We've heard the stories of Valley Forge, so many said that's the logical choice. The thing that not many people know, he turned down being the king. He actually turned it down twice. Can you imagine in today's time a political leader that actually would turn down having power? He spoke to a small few in a speech that no one really knew about, and he reminded them of what we had just fought for and why that was not the choice. That was his game-changing moment. The second person I want to tell you about is a gentleman named William Wilberforce. He was born in 1759, and I honestly did not know who William Wilberforce was until I read this book. He lived his whole life in England, and at the age of 20, he was elected to Parliament. Wilberforce accepted an invitation in 1784 to take a long vacation to France. So he had a long coach ride, and it was with a gentleman named Isaac Milner. In talks for the 2-week coach ride turned into a game-changing moment for Wilberforce. When he came back from his vacation, he wrote 20 words in his diary. God Almighty has set before me 2 great objects, the suppression of the slave trade and the reformation of manners. He worked tirelessly to turn a nation to understand that change needed to not just take place physically, but morally. It took him 24 years to accomplish what he had set out to do. And in 1807, after death threats, illness, and many other obstacles, slave trade was outlawed. But he didn't stop there. 26 years after that, he succeeded in abolishing slavery altogether. This all started on a carriage ride to France with a gentleman that he didn't know and a gentleman that he really didn't want to spend time with. This was his game-changing moment. The third person I want to talk to you about is a gentleman named Eric Liddell. If you're like me, you've watched the movie of Chariots of Fire, but you really didn't know much about him. We knew that he was a man that ran the 400 race in 1924 in the Olympics at Paris, and he won that race. We knew that he decided he didn't want to run in the 100-meter dash, his best race, because it fell on Sunday, and as he said, that's the Lord's Day. What we may not know is he was a missionary in China. He was a committed teacher like many of your faculty. Eric did this out of passion and purpose, and in most cases, he did it at the sacrifice of his family. On many occasions, he had the opportunity to stay with his family, but instead he left because he knew he had a purpose that was already set in place for him. While in China in 1940 war, because of the impending war, his mission had increasingly become hostile and very dangerous, but he still stayed. By 1994, missionaries were held in camps all across China, and to think that he had the opportunity to leave, but he still stayed. He still improved people's lives. He still worked with his purpose and his passion, and he never left that camp alive. Lord Sands of Edinburgh, a civil leader, summed it up at the time when he said it is because of this young man he put his whole career as a runner in the balance and deemed it as small dust compared to remaining true to his principle. That was his game changer. Fourth and lastly, Jackie Robinson. We all know Jackie Robinson's story. We know the story of how he broke the color barrier in baseball. We know of his perseverance. Jackie's athletic talent started at a young age, but it was not just in baseball. He played football, basketball, track, tennis. He went to UCLA and became the first athlete to ever letter in 4 sports. He dropped out of UCLA to play professional football. He then ended up being an athletic director with the National Youth Administration. He had many twists and turns, including in 1942, where he joined the Army, where he served until 1944. We know all about that fateful meeting with Branch Rickey in 1945, where he signed the contract with the Dodgers. What we may not know is it took him 2 years to join the Brooklyn Dodgers. He persevered and went through many unbearable ordeals to reach this game changer. We measure baseball by statistics, but his game measurable can't be measured for what it did for our country, both on and off the field. So what do all of these men have in common, and how does that relate to where you are today? We may never have a story like Washington, like Eric Liddell, like Jackie Robinson, William Wilberforce. But today is a monumental day for you and for your family. I can honestly stand before you and tell you, MTSU has changed my life. It's been a game changer in my life. Graduating from this institution is not just changed me, but it's changed my family's legacy. So here's my hope for you. Today, I know it's a game changer for many of you, but it doesn't stop today. Continue finding those game-changing moments, and in doing so, you'll have a game-changing moment for someone else, for your family, for your children. I want to thank you for the opportunity to stand before you, to stand before fellow alumni, and to be able to say that we love MTSU and that we are True Blue. But also, I want to look at all the family members who are here and tell you, thank you for what you've done for all of your graduates. Because in most cases, many of them would not be here without your help and your support. Thank you for the opportunity to be here, and I wish you and your family nothing but great blessings moving forward. Congratulations.
Would you like to prepare students for the future and carry on the legacy of your favorite teachers? Middle Tennessee State University education students explore proven instructional methods and discover innovative tools and approaches that are changing the way children learn. Our graduates' extensive student teaching experience makes them highly sought after by schools throughout the Southeast. This is just one community among many. Explore all that MTSU has to offer. Devoted to student success, Middle Tennessee State University.
Science shapes our society. The products, technologies, and efforts of the sciences affect much of our everyday lives. And the more advances we make, the more the careers of tomorrow will rely on a strong education in the basic and applied sciences. At MTSU, you will learn from Tennessee's best faculty, along with hands-on training with the latest equipment and facilities. Come and learn the science of success.
Being True Blue is giving your all on and off the court. My name is Ebony Rowe, and I am True Blue.
Being True Blue is embracing unique perspectives. My name is Iris Montez, and I am True Blue.
Being True Blue is helping students solve real-world problems. My name is Cliff Ricketts, and I am True Blue.
Being True Blue is making the world a safer place. My name is Sam Willie, and I am True Blue.
Now it's my honor to introduce our afternoon speaker, Mr. Ken Strickland. Mr. Strickland was appointed NBC News Vice President and Washington Bureau Chief in October 2012. He oversees all the Bureau management, editorial affairs, and administration, and he works closely with the political director and the Meet the Press moderator, Chuck Todd, and NBC executives. Let's give Ken a round of applause, a warm, true Blue Raider welcome back to his alma mater, Mr. Strickland.
Good afternoon, everyone. 25 years ago, I stood in this building and I sat in those very chairs, and I was thinking the exact same thing you're thinking now. Who's this guy giving the commencement speech? How long is he going to talk? And he's going to tell me the same things I've heard from my parents, my pastor, and my grandparents. You know the usual commencement themes. Follow your passion. Take more risks. Swing for the fences and hit the grand slam home run. Those are worthy goals. But I've got a different message for you today. I'm going to tell you how base hits, sacrifice flies, and a little good sportsmanship can make you successful in life. I'm going to tell you how ordinary things can lead to extraordinary outcomes. In a language you understand, that's #ordinary-extraordinary. It's easy to understand why people would think that my life is extraordinary. But I have to tell you, it's built on very ordinary beginnings, just like many people here. I'm from a middle-class family, raised on the south side of Chicago, educated in public schools, and tell me if this is your story. My grades were average, my ambition was minimal, and my life goals were kind of vague. I found my way to MTSU through football. I was a walk-on player who walked off the team before the first game. More on that later. I stayed at MTSU because I had an interest in communications. Not because I thought I was going to be a big-time Washington journalist, but because, as you may be able to tell, I like to talk. Communication seemed like fun, and equally important, there was very little math or science required. So I'm sure you get the picture. I was not extraordinary, but I have figured out 3 ordinary things that led me to extraordinary outcomes. #ordinary-extraordinary. Rule number 1, learn to get along with people. Learn to get along with people. While I love the applause, it does make the speech a little longer. So we can decide how we go. All right, anyway. In life, you can pick your friends. But once you get to the workplace, you cannot pick your colleagues. You cannot pick your boss. You cannot pick the people you work for you. You cannot pick your clients, and you certainly cannot pick your customers. You need to know and learn how to get along with everyone. People you have nothing in common with, people who you actually dislike, even people from Western Kentucky University. Okay, maybe I went too far on that one. All right. But seriously, here's why it's important in your career to get along with people. Getting along with others creates a productive work environment which makes the company more successful and makes them more money. #job security. Ordinary thing number 2, be open to change. Be open to change. I know that many of you are sitting here with your life completely planned out. Many of you are lucky enough to have your first job. And if you don't, you know your first job is going to be. You know your next promotion is going to be. You know when you're going to get married. You already know who you're going to get married. You know how many kids you're going to have, what their names are going to be, their eye color. You have it all figured out, including the scholarship they're going to get at Middle Tennessee State University. Plans are good, but when you read the small print of your life, this is what it says. Plans are subject to change without notice. Change can be frightening and it can be unpredictable. But if you take change and turn it upside down, it can be an exciting and new opportunity. And when you approach it that way, things usually work out for the better. Don't fight change, you dance with change. While some change is thrust upon us, other times change must come from within you. Now, back to the MTSU football story. As I mentioned earlier, I came to MTSU to play football, walk-on player, and walked off before the team's first game. After going through several practices, I just realized that my heart wasn't in it anymore. And after days and days and days of struggling, I finally made my decision. As you can imagine, my parents were pretty freaked out about that because I love and continue to love football. My parents thought that without it, I would lapse into a life of aimless searching with nothing to do. Within a couple of weeks, that searching landed me at WMOT here on campus, where I volunteered producing stories for the Blue Raiders Sports Network. But that change, my own change, opened doors for me that may not have existed otherwise. Unbeknownst to me, it marked the start of my broadcast career. Then there was more change later. While I was covering the White House at NBC, I didn't find all that travel as appealing once I had gotten married and had my first child. So I had the perfect job picked out in my head. I asked to be reassigned to cover the State Department. And this made perfect sense to me because, like you, I had a life plan. The job was open, the stories dovetailed nicely with my White House experience, and Colin Powell was the Secretary of State, and I knew he would make news. But it turns out my boss, Tim Russert, didn't think that was such a great idea. He wanted me to cover his old stomping grounds on Capitol Hill. He said it was the best job in all of Washington. As you can imagine, I had my plan together, so I was a little beside myself that someone wanted to disrupt and change my plan. I didn't know anything about covering Congress. I was planning on covering one person, Colin Powell, not 535 other people who compose Congress. So I had to dig deep, and after a while I realized I needed to take the assignment. But you know what? Tim Russert was absolutely right. I love that job. Every big story in the nation moved through Congress. In another unexpected change, I found myself doing live reporting on TV. Who knew? Fortunately, I got the chance to thank Tim many times before he died. Those experiences I got on the Hill paved my way to the job I have now in ways I could have never imagined. And it could have never have happened without change. But maybe Tim always knew, because I am now grateful, humbled, and honored to hold the job that was once his. Be open to change, my graduate friends, and turn ordinary opportunities into extraordinary outcomes. Hashtag ordinary extraordinary. And that brings me to my third ordinary point. And this is an important one that I'm sure your parents and your grandparents and your friends and family want me to share with you today. Be grateful. Be grateful. I realize for many families that are here today, this may be the first person to graduate from college. And a lot of struggle and sacrifice went into getting you here. A lot of late checks, a lot of tears, a lot of blood, and a lot of sweat. Try to always remember how lucky and blessed you are. Realize, as you go through this transition, that even on your worst day, on the worst of the worst days, your life is much better than millions of other people around this country and around this world. Be grateful. And when you walk across this stage and get your diploma, be grateful for that piece of paper. It symbolizes all you have achieved and everything else that is yet to come. That piece of paper is your springboard. It is an ordinary thing that will help make your life extraordinary. Thank you and congratulations.
My name is Andrew Willoughby. I am an aerospace major with a concentration in professional pilot. I did an honors thesis project on commercial pilot maneuvers and their importance. The most significant things that led me to continue in honors was the fact that I needed something to set me apart from everybody in the industry. I've talked to a few companies that come to our career fairs, and I know several companies said, "You've done a thesis, we really want to see that." And so they're already interested in my work as an honor student.
At Middle Tennessee State University, we are devoted to student success. We offer the advantages of a major comprehensive university with the care and attention found at a small college. We are a community that believes in learning, growth, and service. We hold these values dear, and there's a simple phrase that conveys them.
I am true blue.
I am true blue.
I am true blue.
At Middle Tennessee State University, music majors receive a world-class education from a renowned faculty. Students experience first-chair instruction no matter their instrument. Our graduates go on to share their gifts on stages worldwide and instruct the next generation of musicians, never forgetting that they found their forte at Middle Tennessee. This is just one community among many. Explore all that MTSU has to offer. Devoted to student success, Middle Tennessee State University.
Do you want to make a difference? Make an impact in your world? The College of Behavioral and Health Sciences is centered around service. We want you to get out of the classroom and learn by meeting the needs all around us. Make a difference at the College of Behavioral and Health Sciences at Middle Tennessee State University.
Now it's time for the presentation of the candidates and the conferring of the degrees. President McPhee, on behalf of the faculty, the deans and I present 8 doctoral candidates, 271 candidates for the master's and 5 specialist degrees, 1,516 candidates for the bachelor's degree.
Graduates, please move your tassels from the right to the left side of your cap.